and do our official welcome, everyone. I am Jamie Bachman, the Nebraska Master Naturalist Program Coordinator. I am super grateful to have you all here for October's episode of Master Naturalist Mondays. If you have never been to a Master Naturalist Mondays, the flow of the hour will be, we'll have just gonna have a quick reflective prompt here. I really want to have this opportunity for our community here to be able to, our statewide community here to be able to communicate and share ideas and thoughts at least for a little bit here. And then our presenter, Rachel Liester from Red Road Herbs, will present. I'm super grateful to have you here, Rachel. And she is also a fellow Master Naturalist. And at the end, I will go through just a few happenings and updates and events that are going on with Nebraska Master Naturalist. So let me let in Stacy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get going here with our reflective prompt. All right, is everybody seeing the reflective prompt screen? Okay, let me add somebody. And I want to see all of your faces. How do I do that? Here we go. All right. I'm so glad to have you all here. Okay, so a reflective prompt. I just want you to think about a plant that you have hung out with. I want you to bring this plant into your mind, where you were when you saw this plant. Think about how it made you feel, if you were excited, if if it was an itchy plant and it made you itchy. I want you to just kind of think about a plant that you, at some point in time, whether it's this season or seasons of the past, that you can pull into your memory and visualize it and think about it. And then I want you to think about what personal or ancestral knowledge that you have about this plant. And then how does that plant connect you to the land or past generations? And as you're thinking about this plant and these questions, as these thoughts come to you, feel free to pop them in the chat or unmute yourself and share, because I would love to hear any thoughts and feedback. And feel free to unmute yourself to contribute. Kathy says there's so many plants. There is, for sure. And it doesn't even have to be, I remember a lot of the times when I'm really honing in on a plant, I'm also think the relationships between the invertebrates that are there as well. There's a lot of and this summer at the Niobrara Valley Preserve, at one of our trainings, we were doing bumblebee atlas surveys, and on the pollen baskets there were and on the Scope there it was like super dark pollen. Like, where is all this dark pollen coming from? And it was coming from the Rocky Mountain bee plant, and because their flowers are purple and so is their pollen, and so it was mixing with the yellow of the goldenrod that had just started to bloom too. So that's my contribution. We have Bill Ingebretson says poppy mallow growing wild. I'd never seen that flower before. And there are a lot of plants. Milkweed, sticky and gross, but it has the softest pods if you look inside them, and the seeds are magic, and there is connection to monarch butterflies. The gentians and tallgrass prairies, a part of the native prairies, reminder of who was here first. Thank you, Teresa. Toothache plant. I'm not going to try to pronounce. Plant, buzz, buttons, electric daisies, lots of fun to share. Stacy says the sage was so strong in Ogallala. It sure was. Prairie sage, Lakota friends taught me it is used for ceremonial and spiritual purposes. 46 years old and shows the care and love of my marriage because my husband gave it to me when we got married. We have moved a lot in this time and has always been with us. That's lovely. Tobin says, lilac, my brother bought cuttings back for both of us from our grandfather's original homestead north of O'Neill. We both have those plants still growing with us. Lovely. Wow. Alex says, my grandmother zinnias, as a kid in grade school, she would cut off the dead heads and use the seeds for next year. Today, I have so many zinnias at my back patio with 5 or more monarch butterflies swooping around them daily. Rhubarb reminds me of my mom and the farm I grew up on. It is not as popular as it once was, but I love rhubarb custard pie. A switchgrass growing from a native bridal bouquet from my niece. Wow, Marcia. Heidi, lilac reminds me of my grandmother. Yep. Monarda, a wonderful plant for pollinators and used for a number of things, including tea. In the Boy Scout camps where I grew up, eventually worked on the staff. Oh, so lovely. So we're talking about relationships with plants, right? Relationships and how they, and some of these memories with these relationships with plants and how they take us back to our relationships with, memories of people from the past and relatives and family members. Dandelions, first green that you can eat in the spring. My grandfather grew them. Oh, what's this heritage orchard? Friend's mother-in-law takes cuttings from old apple trees and farmsteads and grass onto hardy rootstock. She's trying to establish a sort of heritage orchard. So lovely. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing. Let me, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can get on with our presentation. Thank you for your contributions, everyone. Let's see. So I would like to introduce our speaker. We have Rachel Liester with us today. Herbal educator, Master Naturalist, and owner of a Red Road Herbs Retreat and Learning Center over here in Stanton County, just over the hills, just over the river and over the hills for me. Oh, not quite over the river, but a dear friend, and I'm so glad that you're here to share your relationships with plants and your knowledge and your story of plants with your community and this statewide community that we have here. So I'm gonna, anything else you would like to add, feel free, and I'll let you all know that I will send out Rachel's information and website and Facebook page so you can follow her and all the amazing things that she's doing over in Stanton County. Her the voice on her is doing great. Sometimes the video kind of is slow, but you can hear her really good. So thank you so much for being here, Rachel.
It is my pleasure. I was just telling Jamie before we started here that anything that I can do that helps Master Naturalists is truly my pleasure because I think they're a wonderful organization and they taught me so much. So I thought maybe first I would um, I'll tell you my relationship to plant. The plant that I thought of was motherwort, and that was the first plant that kind of popped up in my vision when we first came to this place, and and just got me started learning about the plants here. And one of the things that I love about this plant, it reminds me of that we're um, well, motherwort is a European plant, but they came here and they've done no harm, and they do actually provide us with good medicine. They're considered naturalized. And I kind of think of that as who I am. I'm not native. I hang with a lot of Native American folks, but I just say, well, I'm naturalized because our the generations in my family go way back to when my ancestors were kicked out of Scotland. So we arrived here tattered and torn and found a home and hopefully do no harm. So I did want to start though the whole presentation with just letting you know kind of my background. Um, First of all, I had to get in touch with my dear friend Amy to get the date of when I did the Master Naturalist training, which was in 2012. And that was at Niobrara Valley Preserve. And I, I have kind of a confession to make. So, probably back in like the late 90s, when I was kind of getting interested in plants and herbs and also kind of looking at a different directional path for my life, I came across this quote and I used it in my business, still do quite often, and it was from a man named John Burroughs, and it is I go to nature to be soothed and healed and have my senses put in tune once more. And I felt really connected to that, but what I saw was that his title was naturalist. And I'm like, how do you become one of those? That's who what I want to be when I grow up. And then I stumbled across Nebraska Master Naturalist. So I don't, I really wanted to learn more about nature, but man, I wanted that title. I wanted to be a naturalist. So that kind of drew me into this. So when I teach classes, I always start out with a quote from a poster that I have had since I was about 16 years old. Which is a long time, believe me. It hangs in my barn inside a cupboard door. And it is, if you don't know where I've been, you can't know where I'm coming from. So I always try and have some sort of background about what I'm doing here so you know kind of where I've been and then can know where I'm coming from. Um, it starts way back when I was a Girl Scout and had a Girl Scout leader who was Ponca tribe. And I I think I fell in love with Native American culture. And maybe that's because in our family, I've discovered my roots on my own. Our family didn't really talk about where we came from, what, culture. So maybe it was just falling in love with something, I'm here, they're here. Maybe this is a good connection. I actually read Black Elk Speaks as a preteen. And so I had this love of Native American culture. Hadn't yet gotten involved in the plants yet, though my mother was an avid gardener, not herbs, but all kinds of other things, especially things like black-eyed peas and okra. that the folks up here hadn't really heard of. She was a hit at all the potlucks. So yeah, our my family came from Oklahoma. So um, I had I'm a high school dropout, college graduate. That gives you a little bit of kind of the yin yang in my life. In between that, I lived in West Hollywood for a while. I came back and met my husband in Fremont, Nebraska, where my parents were from, and graduated from Midland College at that time. I'd switched from a photography major to a behavioral science major. Oh, ah, and English. I got a little, my hands were flailing around. Sorry. That's what I do when I talk. Um, so we spent some time in Pensacola, but eventually moved back to Nebraska. And in 1993 is when I moved to Stanton County. And that's when the plant thing all took off. We became stewards of 5 acres of a, kind of a homestead with the farming around us that was rented out to other people. And so I just started discovering all the plants that were here. And like I mentioned before, motherwort was one of the first. Our property is uh, it's guarded, I guess, by cottonwood trees. That's the keystone kind of plant here, tree here. But there's probably, I don't know, 60 or so different medicinal plants that just grow naturally here. And then I started teaching. That's kind of in my DNA. Both my parents were teachers, and then uh, I started learning about the plants by talking to my Native American friends. Um, I uh, I started a business in about 2000 or so, an herbal education business, but I'd kind of been teaching before that. And we'll get right up to the ethnobotany, which is what our discussion today is about. In 2017, again, sometimes things just come into your life. Stumbled across, I end up here and kind of stumble across plants. I had a gal call me to do an interview for some coursework she was doing, and it was an ethnobotany certification through University of Alaska Fairbanks. And I signed up for it the day that I found out about it. I had heard the word ethnobotany and didn't really put it together until probably just before that phone call, that's what I'd been doing for the past 20 years is learning about the plants that grow here and then learning how they've been used by the people who have been here, the historical culture. And ethnobotany is, in simplistic terms, it's the relationship between plants and people, usually in a historical perspective. But as I always encourage my students, you can start collecting ethnobotany right now. Talk to your grandparents, or even write down what you do for your grandchildren, so that we can keep that information about plant use still flowing along. And so I did the field study for that certification in Hooper Bay, Alaska, which I'm not sure if you guys have seen, guys and gals, have seen the current news about the flooding in Alaska, but that is the general area where I was, the most western edge of Alaska along the Bering Sea, where you are literally closer to Russia than you are to Anchorage. And I was there in a community that called Hooper Bay, and that is the Yupik people. And for about a week and a half, we kind of sat around with the elders and learned how they use plants and ate meals with them and foraged out on the tundra. And so I had at that point learned about Native American, which would be mostly Lakota, specifically Oglala Lakota, and then Ho-Chunk. I have two dear mentors in each of those tribes. Jerome Killsmall is an Oglala Lakota elder, and I actually just recently met him, but or recently, 10 years, you know. um, and then Diane Lapointe was a dear friend and kind of just took me in, not so much plant related, but just culture related. Took me to my first Sundance, to my first Native American church ceremony. It was during that time I did my first Inipi ceremony. So, and ultimately, actually, her family adopted me. So I am an adopted Ho-Chunk member. But at one point, I decided, I'm learning about this other ethnobotany. Maybe I should learn about my own. So in the past 4 years, well, in 2022, I made my very first trip to Scotland. And just this past April, again, had a trip to Scotland to study plants, did a foraging class in both hedgerow and seashore foraging to learn those plants. Of course, seashore plants are now my fascination. Seaweed, which, a girl from Nebraska is not going to get much chance to um, uh, build a relationship with. And going to, castle gardens, and I went to the Scottish School of Herbal Medicine. And so just decided to do a little research. And now I actually teach a class on Celtic herbs and healing traditions. And then also just recently, I had a gentleman stop by who was from Puerto Rico, and he was visiting his daughter, but wanted to come do a tour of Red Road Herbs. And it was really interesting because he didn't speak much English. My Spanish is from Sesame Street and Dora the Explorer. And so, but we did speak Latin. We did know the plants' names, that's the scientific names. So we could communicate the plants, and she helped interpret the rest of it. But he's actually a very famous herbalist in Puerto Rico. I think has probably about 250,000 followers on his Facebook page, and he invited me to come see his gardens. And so I took a friend, my ethnobotany fellow student, the person that I had the interview with, and we went to Puerto Rico and did some learning about, well, first of all, our only tropical rainforest that we have in the U.S. And then, of course, Jose's gardens, but also we visited some cultural sites to learn about the Taino people, who are the native Puerto Ricans, and learned a little bit about that culture and their plant use. So, and all of this culminated here just this past May with a really cool workshop that we were able to do that was called Lakota Earth Song. The subtitle is Cultivating Sustainability Through Ethnobotany. And we partnered with Lakota Youth Development, and then got a USDA SARE grant, Sustainable Ag Research and Education grant, to host a workshop that would be like a hands-on immersion ethnobotany mini field study to encourage farmers, even potential farmers, about how to use those basic practices of sustainability that have been used for thousands of years, and try and kind of give a foundation for sustainability, that they could see why this was done, and talked about value added products from small scale farms, but had a really good turnout and I think a successful workshop. So that's me in a nutshell. And I was telling Jamie, I'm just going to tell about me and then open it up to questions, if that's okay with you guys. So go ahead. And I'll get a sip of tea.
So we're opening it up for questions.
Oh, I do see that I have some fellow classmates from the Master Naturalist class of 2012. Nice to see, nice to see you there.
And Matt Jones is on the call today too. So
Oh, hi,
um
Matt. Yeah.
the former program coordinator of Master Naturalist is on with
Yes,
us today.
yes. I remember Matt, of course. Yeah. Nice to see you again. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna read some of these. I'm not sure I was supposed to. Lindsay,
I can or you
yes.
can, whatever you
Okay, yes, I am. I wasn't paying attention, sorry. I'm totally open to have 10 to 12 high school environmental science class come. I have an annual field trip that the Norfolk, I'm just 20 miles from Norfolk. It's the Alternatives for Success kids that come out and do a field trip. And basically, we just do kind of a wild herb walk and hug the cottonwood tree and talk about whatever they want to talk about. Just let them kind of roam around. But I absolutely can incorporate those indigenous stories. Glad to do it. Can I count that as Master Naturalist hours, Jamie?
Uh,
Heck
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
all right. I have a question.
Yes.
Rachel, what would if you just had to say your top 2, 3, 5, whatever, medicinal plant, native medicinal plants, and do you use them yourself? What would they be?
So I know it sounds kind of interesting, but actually I'm kind of partial to dandelion. And I know there's the European dandelion that came from the East Coast because the um, colonist sent word back to England that, oh my gosh, this place doesn't have any dandelions. We need those for our medicine. There is a native dandelion that was coming down. It was Alaska dandelion that came down. So I would say dandelion, and yes, I do. I give out, uh, I, I do have quite a few events for kids and even adults love the recipe for dandelion flour cookies. I like
Mm.
incorporating herbs into Um, I'd say the next ones would be again one that kind of is considered European, but we do have a native one here, and that's plantain because it is they are such a versatile plant to the point where you can, teach kids how to do a spit poultice by chewing up the leaf and putting it on a bee sting or a bug bite. Probably one of my favorite medicinals is cottonwood. I really love that tree, and not just for the buds or the bark that has some of the pain relief that is in the family of willows. Um, but because I'm a firm believer in some plants are medicinal just because they make you feel good. and to hear cottonwood leaves is very soothing to my soul. And the smell of cottonwood in the spring is very, that could be an aromatherapy for me.
Mm.
Um, is that just three so far? What else?
Yeah, thank you. I
You said the
appreciate
top,
your, I mean, you could probably go on, but thanks. I appreciate that.
yeah. Goldenrod is very underrated. It's actually a remedy for allergies. Harvest some of those flowers in the fall and make a quick tincture, soaking it in alcohol, and you've got a remedy for next year's allergy kickoff.
Thank you.
There are a couple of
You're very
questions.
welcome.
Pardon.
Oh,
There are a couple of
I
questions in the
haven't been.
chat, but I did want to just if there you could speak to your herbalist conference, your prairie herbalist conference. Make sure that we get that in there
Oh,
because we do not
yeah.
have a prairie herbalist like organization in the Midwest, and Rachel hosts a prairie herbalist conference. So please speak to that before the end here. And then also like what the content of some of your classes and your herbalist training, your backyard herbalist trainings and certifications that you offer
Okay.
at Red Road Herbs.
Okay, sure.
I just want to make sure
Well,
that
I
that
guess
doesn't
first
get missed.
to know all of these things, you can either go to my website, which is redroadherbs.com, and there's some way you can get on a mailing list, or you can follow us on Facebook. I do a lot of my marketing on Facebook or sending out emails to folks to let them know what classes are happening. Jamie's talking about the Prairie Herbalist Conference, which is every year about mid-July. 2026 is the 18th and 19th of July. And so it's a day and a half event where I bring together a bunch of really good plant folks and mushroom folks and clinical herbalists and just anything that has to do with health and harmony. And we do like 4 sessions on Saturday that you have a choice of 4 different topics or 3 different topics. And then on Sunday, we do what's called our Herbal Intensive, which is we offer 3 different classes that are 3 hours long. Instead of on Saturday, they're an hour and a half. And we serve an absolutely wonderful meal. And there is camping here overnight if you're coming from a distance or you just want to hang out. Then I generally will announce in January when registration opens up. I teach an home herbalist program, and I have a year 1 and a year 2. And in year 1 is not a prerequisite for year 2, but year 1 is a lot of the basics of growing herbs, wildcrafting herbs, and then how to make some of the products, I guess, remedies from herbs, tinctures, teas, oils, and salves. And then those are you sign up for them, and we meet once a month for 6 months. So and then generally I have a weekend once a year that's a chance to like just come here and take 5 classes all at once. But your other option is my classes. I don't schedule a whole lot of individual classes. I do schedule mostly the events. We will have that Celtic herbs and healing traditions. Probably it'll be in the fall of 2026. But every class listed on my website is by request. So I do that because, well, first let me tell you that my minimum is 1. It used to irritate me that I would sign up for a class and it would get canceled because there's not enough people. And I'm like, but wait, I wanted to learn about it. And so, and I also, I found it's easier to work with other people's schedules than mine. If I do schedule classes, it ends up, inevitably someone says, I really wanted to take that, but I had something going that day. So you tell me when you want a class, and you can bring a group with you, and we'll get a group rate on that. Or if you can't find anybody else, you just call me up, email me and say, can I take the oils and salves class on Tuesday or however, and we'll work out a schedule. So all the classes by request, the programs, generally you need to sign up for it. They start in May, but I kind of open up the registration by January, and usually by May, I open up the conference registration because it's a pretty limited. 60 people is all we can kind of accommodate. But I also like that it's small and pretty intimate and not a huge group. And it is the first and only herb conference in Nebraska.
I've included it in the follow-up email, a link to the presenter list, so you can see the content and the wonderful, amazing people that Rachel is bringing in to speak towards herbal medicine, herbal food, and then also like traditional herbal relationships and ancestry. On her website too, the herbalist program, month 1, easy to grow herbs. Month 2 is spring wild crafting and infusions. Month 3 is tinctures. Month 4 is oils and salves. Month 5 is herbs for women. Month 6 is herbs for winter health. So just a little bit of a little bit of explanation of the content that Rachel is covering. And this is pretty big deal because there's not a lot of herbalists that provide this kind of content out in the world, especially out in with a prairie herbalist conference. I'm real I think it's a hidden gem that we have, so, in our community, Rachel.
And at every class you can harvest what's here. So that's the kind of bonus for taking classes out here, is I think you really get to touch, taste, feel, or smell all the plants and see how they're growing. You can even take some plants home every once in a while.
What books do you would you recommend for medicinal plants and how they're used?
Well, first let me tell you my 2 favorite books of ethnobotany is Medicinal Plants of the Prairie and Edible Plants of the Prairie by Kelly Kincher. He's out of KU. I had the honor and privilege of reading a manuscript for the 2nd edition of his medicinal plants. So that's coming out a little bit later, but he does have an updated version, I think, of the edible plants of the prairie. And let's see, gosh. There are so many. It kind of depends on your on how you need to learn them. Some books are set up where you learn the herbs according to what system they address. Some of them are simply alphabetical. Some of them are alphabetical by scientific name or by common name. But let's see. A couple of my favorite herbalists are Rosemary Gladstar, also Michael Tierra, Rico Check, and that's RICOCHC, no, I'm sorry, CECH. He has a business called Strictly Medicinal. There's another herbalist, Jim McDonald, who has a really good website called herbcraft.org. And all of these have informational websites too. So check those out. That'd be a very good start.
Let's see, there was a question in here about um, inflammation, I do believe. Do you have any herbal remedies for inflammation or arthritis? And that comes from Mary Johnson. She said you met her at a training in 2012.
Oh, nice. Well, we actually do make a salve that is made from St. John's wort, which is for pain relief. It also addresses inflammation, but specifically used for nerve pain and some for muscle pain. Actually, cottonwood bud salve or oil is a really good one. Um, so this winter, when everybody's complaining about a windstorm, you, I am always delighted with the windstorm because that's when the cottonwood buds come down. The little branches with the best buds that are at the top of the tree. So after a windstorm, go out, collect the little buds that have resinous kind of goo oozing out of them, pop those into a jar, cover them with just plain old olive oil, and in about 6 weeks, if you have them in a sunny window, it will be an excellent remedy for inflammation. Also for congestion, you can use it as a chest rub. Just look into cottonwood bud. Any other questions? I'm trying to read through here. Oh, I see on my notes, I have one last thing to tell you that that trip to Scotland, one of the highlights of this last trip was being able to visit John Muir's birthplace, another really famous naturalist. So, yeah, that was awesome. Being able to walk along the John Muir pathway and realize that, he came from where my people come from, but what he's done for where I live currently was pretty awesome.
We have some questions on nettles. Some folks use them, the
Uh-huh.
leafy greens, but tinctures or anything else that you have or teas, Rachel.
Nettle is one of those plants that's used for inflammation by flogging. Um, it's called urtication. The plant's name is Urtica dioica. So urtication is like flogging yourself to make your joints sting, but it helps with the inflammation. Elderly Lakota women will um, not use any protection when they're harvesting the herbs because it's kind of a preventative and a treatment for arthritis in your hands. But I like to use nettle as a food. I make some nettle chips and Kay Young's famous potato nettle casserole. There's nettle soup. But let's see, you're asking as a leafy green. So you can harvest nettle leaves before the plant flowers and dry those and keep those like on your kitchen counter in a crock or something and just add them to any stew or eggs or anywhere would normally use like parsley, but and add their nutritional benefit throughout the winter like that. Yeah.
We have a great question in the chat. Why do you feel ethnobotany and understanding herbal medicine is important cultural knowledge we should work to keep alive, especially during these modern times?
Well, I think we are slowly losing our connection to plants and depending more and more on chemicals instead of the natural plants that we were given for particular ailments, especially with preventative health and first aid. You know, to use these, it's so much easier to stay healthy than it is to get healthy again. So using them just as everyday kind of medicine, that's to me, that's what healthcare is taking care of yourself on an everyday basis. And it's good. It also gives us a sense of I guess for lack of a sense of independence that you don't have to depend on someone else's medicines. Now, don't get me wrong, I I love doctors, I get diagnosis, you know, they have their expertise, but I will take into consideration, is there something less harsh or something more natural that I can do for whatever they've told me might be an issue. Um, and we are losing that knowledge. Um, a lot of the elders, actually 2020 took out a lot of elders, and we've already lost a lot of that knowledge. So I think it's important, not only for just the use of plants, but that we understand how important it is to be in nature. So the harvesting and the growing and the, you know, admiration of plants and their entire community keep us connected with nature and keep us grounded and do a lot for our health in just relieving stress, which we have kind of decided is the number one killer, number one health problem is stress. So, yeah, I think it just keeps us connected, and I see that we are slowly becoming disconnected, and I think it's important to retain that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. We have time for a couple more questions if anybody would like to unmute or pop in the chat.
Well, Judy, I'll reply to your cat harvesting. You know, most cats love catnip. My cat, when he gets out, um, would go straight to the sweetgrass. That was his favorite thing. So I always had to watch out for that. And bringing sweetgrass braids in, they'd be scattered all over the floor if I didn't protect them.
I have a question that brought to mind
Yeah.
when you mentioned sweetgrass. Is it easy to grow, or does it get invasive? Does it take over?
All of those things.
All of the above.
Yeah. Easy to grow. They'll grow by I keep messing with my computer here. Underground roots and also by seed. And they will, I like to call those plants adventurous. They just like
Yeah.
to go out and explore the world. But keeping them in a raised bed that you mow around would be
Mhm.
easy to have that raised bed, and then you get the sweetgrass smell every time you mow
Thanks.
for anything that's escaped. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel.
I loved it. I love seeing faces and meeting people I hadn't seen in a long time. And my buddies, I got Julie, Amy, and Jane that I recognize on here. I apologize if I missed anyone. I don't have the whole list. But yeah, if you ever have any questions, you can message me on Facebook. I am more than happy to, if I don't know the answer, it just provides me some a reason to go learn some more. So yeah. And come visit.
Like yes, come out to visit and stay in county. That's where we hail. I will, in the follow-up email, I will be sending all of the information with links that Rachel, books, podcasts, the Earth Song, the Lakota Earth Song Facebook or website, so you can keep track of what's going on there, because you do have future plans to do another workshop, Rachel, is that correct?
We don't have any immediate plans to do that, not for this grant cycle, but Lakota Youth Development is also a what do they do? Cultural tourism. Like you can go out there and they will do presentations for you, and you can stay in a teepee and you can learn about the plants out there. So check that place out too. Pretty cool.
So I will so you a link will go up with the follow-up email, and so you can check out all of those things as well. I am going to share my screen. We have 5 minutes left till the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'm just going to share my screen to share some upcoming events that are happening. And I did have a request for some information about the Master Naturalist program. If you wouldn't mind emailing me, Martin, that would be great. And I can get you any information you would like about the Master Naturalist program. Okay, let me share my screen. Let's see, upcoming events. And also, actually, real quick, before I share upcoming events, I would like to allow, or we're going to have just a quick a note from Judy Dunn. She's on our the Nebraska Master Naturalist Foundation board, and she has some information that she would like to share with you all. So please, Judy, take it away.
Thanks, Jamie. I'll be real quick. I know Bill's on, so he can back me up if I need to. We have two requests from the Nebraska Master Naturalist that we'd like to encourage Master Naturalists to get involved with. One is that we will be losing the current website platform that the Master Naturalist program is on. And it's basically changing and updating, and the format we have right now is going to need to get tweaked. We need some input from folks in regards to what works, what doesn't work, what you don't like, what we need to change, as well as if you're at all interested in helping us pull together some of those particular changes and get them implemented on the new website. I'll put my email in the chat in a second here to get that information. Please just feel free to email me about anything. We sent out an email earlier, and we'll probably try to get that survey sent back again just to make sure we're getting people's input. The second piece is that the Master Naturalist Executive Board here in Nebraska is looking to recruit new board members. We have some openings available that we'd like to be able to reach out to Master Naturalists across the state, and even individuals that might not be Master Naturalists but have some input or some expertise that they'd like to help share with us. And we're asking for your input because we need folks to provide some expertise from your background other than being a Master Naturalist. Say, for instance, you've got some background in HR or in writing grants or in web design, or you name it. It would be helpful to get that kind of input. So look forward to an email coming relatively soon where we'll be sending out the application that needs to get filled out. The board will be reviewing those, and we hope to get a number of new members on the board for the 2026 year. realizing the only real commitment is there are 4 board meetings, every quarter. They're in person or on Zoom. And then there's some committee involvement that you might be asked to help out with. But we would really appreciate some additional input and some feedback from folks to keep the program going and going strong. So that's my 2 cents, Jamie. Thank you very much for the floor to be able to do that.
Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate that. I know that a lot of you are in communication with me as the program coordinator, but we do have this volunteer board that does so much time, and Bill Clemente is also on that board. So much time, energy, and effort, because they care about the Master Naturalist program and the work that you all are doing and the community of a Nebraska Master Naturalist. That website if you know anybody in the community or that would like to participate in helping, that is like a top priority to get that turned over before we lose the format and then have to pay the website people to help us do it. So if we can do it on our own, that would be great. But I have this much website knowledge. So please, that would be super helpful. Thank you for bringing that up, Judy. Okay, real quick, if you have to go, I understand. I'm just gonna share some upcoming events. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, real quick. Don't forget to track your hours, friends. I know it's hard. If you need any information, I do have some emails in my inbox that I am going to be sending instructions to. Excuse me. Also, you will be getting an evaluation for the Master Naturalist Mondays. This specific presentation. Please feel free to. Oh goodness, give me a moment here. This is where your voice can be heard. Oh my goodness, or my coughs apparently. So please fill out the evaluation. Hold on one second here.
I'm sure one of the things she was going to remind people about is to sign up for the Master Naturalist Conference that's coming up. We've got some great activities and speakers planned that is being held at the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo this year. So there are some events ahead of time to be able to have a tour of the aquarium and things like that, as well as I think Jamie's already posted out the Master Naturalist Mondays schedule for the rest of the year. The other thing I'd personally like to impart to people is if we need your help to encourage individuals that want to take the program, the trainings, either the core 24 or the entire week-long program, to really get involved and register and sign up for those. We've had to cancel the October training because of lack of enrollment. There has to be a minimum number in order to make it feasible, I'm sorry to say, because of the presenters and everyone coming. So if you've got any ability, if you're talking to people and they're interested, send them to the website, let them get some information. I'd be more than happy again on my email to give the information as well. So sorry, Jamie, I was filling in the blank.
Thank you so much for taking over. You covered it. Next month, excuse me, next month, Sarah Bailey you'll get an email because I can't talk right now. So thank you so much, Judy. I really appreciate you covering. And thank you all for being here today. I'm going to go take care of myself now. Please get outside and enjoy this fall weather. Breathe in the fresh air. Get sunlight in your eyeballs. Make sure you're taking care of yourself during these times. Okay, everyone?
Take care of you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, how do you get out of here?
The little leave at the